Hey everybody, this is Laura with Untitled Typewriters. I have a classic 12 today. Look at this. Isn't it pretty? We have painted this in a spa blue, and the paint job, it's actually a lot more difficult than it looks. Like, I can't touch the paint, I mess it up. But this paint job came out beautiful. Oh my goodness, it's gorgeous. So, but you don't want to hear about that. Let's talk about how to use the Classic 12. This is an all manual, and this is one of my favorite typewriters to recommend for beginners looking for a manual typewriter. It's more affordable than a lot of the other ones. It's very easy to use. It's a very reliable machine. And in my opinion, it works so well that even if you are an active writer, you're going to be doing a ton of work on it. These guys are just great. There's very few manuals that have the, well, I won't say that. Very few, the 60s and 70s manuals that have the flow that I like for long manuscript book writing, or you're just writing every day, several hours a day, and you just need a flow. There's very few that I really think are great at getting into a flow, and the Classic 10 or the 12, in my opinion, is always a great one. That's in the category of affordability and just a great functioning typewriter. So, all that to say is this is good for everybody. I know I like to narrow it down. That's just me and my marketing mindset. Who's my target audience? Who's this for? But every once in a while, you just get a machine and you're like, even if you have other stuff, everybody should just have one of these around. Just my opinion. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at it. So the Classic 12 has the 12-inch carriage, and that means it's longer. The 10-inch goes here, which makes it handy for crafters because you have a lot more variety in terms of paper size that you can use. That's the only reason I recommend it for crafters. And if you're a crafter and you want a typewriter, get a longer carriage, because I guarantee you're going to get down the line and you're going to have this really odd shaped paper or a really large paper you're going to do something on, and you're going to wish you had one of these. All right, there's your paper holder. To set your margins, you press and drag. All right. Right here on the right side, paper release. Left side is line selector, 1, 2, or 3. That means when you hit the return handle, it'll advance 1, 2, or 3 lines. To move the carriage when you're not typing, there's a lever here and here. Just press it in. Either side, doesn't matter. And release the carriage. Nice strong bell. Yeah, I like to hear that. Okay. Roller, and when I turn it, you hear it clicks. It clicks every half of a line, which means if you're trying to line it up with a little checkbox, or you want to do you like MC square and you want to do the superscript of the 2, makes it really difficult. So over here, right there is a little lever. Bam, press that down, releases the roller so you can kind of adjust it right where you want. Okay, make sure you re-engage it though before you keep going. Okay, now I'm going to move this carriage over to the left. Boom, love that bell, it's so nice. Pull this forward, and inside you're going to see a ribbon. This is a universal ribbon, which means it fits most typewriters, because honestly, we rarely get a typewriter that has the original spools in it. So the universal ribbon just works on it. Which means that some of the typewriters that have an auto reverse feature, I don't think it works with the universal ribbon, because we have yet to come across a typewriter that auto reverses. So even though we've had comments saying, hey, that typewriter auto reverses, it never does with the universal ribbon. So, and some of you are thinking, what do you mean by auto reverse? Well, what I mean is the spools in here, this ribbon that's on the spools, there's a lot of ink in that ribbon. So when you go through it and it gets to the end of the spool, it's not the end of the ribbon. You need to reverse the direction of the spool so you can keep using the ink up in that ribbon. And so you should be able to reverse the direction on this 40, 50, 60 times before you need to replace the ribbon. Now, to reverse the direction, there's a lever right here. It's just such a slight movement to reverse that direction. And we do install new ribbons on all of our typewriters, but please be aware that in the typing demo, in the packing, and the cleaning, this lever gets moved. So if you open it up and start typing and it's already at the end of the ribbon, it's not an old ribbon. It's just the lever got moved. Okay. So when it is time to change, you just pop them in and pop them out. Make sure you thread it properly. There's little like guide wires here. There's an up close image of this, and I've put it on the product listing, and the link is in the description below, and you can just save that image or you can bookmark it. It really does come in handy because I always forget to thread them properly. Just for FYI, this is called the Escapement. This is where your type bars are. And we're done in here. Okay, so I'm gonna center this back down on the left side. LMH, that just determines how hard those strike bars I showed you strike the paper, which determines how dark or light the font turns out. So you can just mess around with that. It usually doesn't really make any difference. Half space button, color selector. The little white box really is nothing. So if it's in the middle, it's honestly not gonna even type right because it's not supposed to be there. So black on top, red on bottom. You do have a tab button, and to clear your tab, you push up. To set your tab, you push down. Okay, let's go ahead and do a typing demo. All right, so when you put your paper in, it's nice to have your paper guide, which always gets shoved way over to the side. There we go. Just so you can load your paper consistently. And then when you set your paper here, I'm using scrap paper. So when you load your paper, if there is something printed on it, like I have on this, you have the print facing you, the side that you don't want to type on. Okay, so this is the side that's going to be behind us, the back of the paper. And so then I just roll it in, make sure it comes underneath the bar, and I roll all the way up till the two ends meet to make sure it's nice and straight. And it's pretty straight. If I was typing, I would leave it here. But let's say it's off. You just pull this forward and then you can adjust your paper really easy. Okay, let's go ahead. And I believe this is a 1967. Whoops, that's not a good way to start. This is reminds me of something. So when you don't use your typewriter very often, let's say it's been sitting for a few days or weeks, sometimes the keys will get a little bit stiff, and it's good to just go through and loosen up all the keys and then start typing. That's just an FYI. Also, for maintenance purposes, we like to keep and tell people to keep mineral spirits and Q-tips on hand. Because here's the thing, all of that dust and, you know, dead skin cells and pet hair that's floating around in the air, it settles down in, and it eventually is going to make things a little stiff or sticky. And we have a video that talks about how to handle stiff and sticky keys. So I recommend you go under our typewriter tips playlist and watch that, and just keep mineral spirits and Q-tips on hand. And I would just clean your typewriter. Like this probably has been sitting a few days because I've been really busy and I haven't gotten to it. So I probably need to go down, sorry about this, and clean up the keys again. And a lot of times when we get them, they're like super dirty. So we have to clean them multiple times to get all of the grime out of the keys. Now, one thing I'm gonna tell you is do not, okay, I made a mistake. So what do you do when you make a mistake? I'll come back to that thought in a second. You hit the backspace, type over it, and you keep going. Remember, backspace does not erase, it just backspaces. And mistakes are okay. It's just part of the deal. What was I saying? Oh, do not use oil when your keys get stiff. Do not use oil because it attracts the dust and the dirt particles. So sometimes people have used oil on their typewriters when we get them, and it takes us a lot longer to clean them out because we don't take the parts apart. We have to dig in there by hand with toothbrushes and Q-tips, and we have to do it over and over and over, and we have to wait a day and or type on it a bunch and then clean it out and then do it again and then do it again and then do it again. So just in maintaining your typewriter, just keep mineral spirits and a soft toothbrush or a Q-tip on hand to just keep those keys clean. Okay. That was extra information. Let me finish the sentence. That J needs a little bit of attention, so we'll do that. So this feels, overall, this feels amazing, like I told you at the very beginning. I didn't bring my margins. I was wondering where my bell was. I'm gonna redo that and bring the margins in so we can talk about the margin release. I'm gonna bring all the way that in. Like I said earlier, this does, even though this J and what was it, the one was a little sticky, that's gonna be taken care of. It's not even gonna be an issue. By the time you get it, it's gonna be fine. But overall, this is typing very well. I mean, the keys are very smooth. I don't feel any of the grittiness that we can sometimes feel. It just, these two keys need a little bit of wakening up, and that's okay. And like I said, when you get it, it'll be fine. I'm going to retype this sentence. There's my margin saying, okay, so right now what I should do is hit the return handle and go to the next line, but I'm going to keep going to show you what happens when you do. Okay, so it stops on you. So what if you do get to the, you hear the margin bell, but you're in the middle of a really long word and it stops. So I want to finish my word house. This MR key means margin release. Could I hit that? And I can finish my word and now go to the next line. Gosh, great typewriter. The keys are like bouncing back. So nice. Oh, I love that. Sometimes the keys are just a little bit sluggish, but these, man, these are like nice and firm and they're bouncing, but the Classic is always that way. The Classic is such a great typewriter. So, and as I'm typing, I'm just thinking, and it could be just because I'm taking my son to college, but I really could see this sorry again, in a college dorm room, or some high schooler, even young kids. They can use this quite well. It is not hard to type on. Now, your littlest of kids might have a little bit harder time because a manual typewriter requires more strength to press down, and it's further than a computer. But for kids overall, it's going to be excellent. Or if you've got a home office and this color is very attractive to you and you just want to have one on hand and to write letters every once in a while, this is also a great addition. So whoever gets it, you're going to have a lot of fun with it. It's a wonderful typewriter. Thanks so much for watching, and you all have a great day.